All right, get ready, because today we are going deep into art fraud.
Ooh, exciting.
You gave us a ton of info on this.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the art world is not always about those beautiful paintings and fancy auctions.
Right.
There's a dark side,
Definitely a dark side.
and we're going to expose it all.
We are going to.
The crazy thing is, art fraud is not just something you see in movies.
No, not at all.
It's way more common than people think.
It really is.
And it all comes down to how the art market works.
It's all about subjective value.
Subjective value.
Yeah, like what makes one piece so valuable and another one, well, not so much.
I see it's not always clear.
It's a lot of opinions and trends,
So that makes it easy to manipulate.
Exactly. It's right for that.
So you're saying a signature could make a painting worth millions?
Oh, absolutely. A signature can make all the difference.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure on those authenticators.
It really is.
So tell me, how do these fraudsters operate? What are we up against here?
Well, art fraud is like, it's like a chameleon. It can take so many different forms.
Interesting.
One of the most well-known is forgery.
Forgery.
Yeah, like making perfect copies that could fool anyone.
You mean like someone can actually paint like Michelangelo?
It's incredible, right?
That's a bold claim.
Oh, it happens.
I bet there are cases where even the experts were totally fooled.
Oh, for sure. Like the Noodler Gallery scandal, for example.
What happened there?
They sold tons of fake paintings, abstract expressionist ones, for millions.
No way.
Yeah, and it was all thanks to this woman named Glafira Rosales and some very talented but deceptive Chinese artists.
Millions of dollars. For fakes.
Millions.
Wow. So it's not just about copying a style.
No, it's about creating this whole story, making it seem real.
Like a performance almost.
Exactly.
But forgery isn't the only type of art fraud, right?
Right. There's also misattribution.
Misattribution.
Yeah, basically taking a painting by a lesser-known artist and saying it's by, let's say, Rembrandt.
Oh, I get it. Instant value boost.
Exactly, even though the real artist gets nothing.
That's not right.
Not at all.
So how do they pull that off? How do they make people believe it's a Rembrandt?
Provenance.
Provenance? What's that?
It's like the artwork's history. Who owned it before?
Oh, like a family tree for a painting.
Exactly. And they fake documents to create a whole backstory.
So it's all about making the painting look more important.
It's like giving it a fancy resume.
Clever, but deceitful.
Very much so.
And then there are art heists, straight out of a movie.
Oh, yeah, those are exciting.
Paintings disappearing into the black market.
It happens more than you think.
Didn't the Van Gogh Museum get robbed back in 2002?
They did. 2 very valuable paintings were stolen.
Wow.
Thankfully, they got them back a few years later.
That's good.
But it just shows how far these criminals will go for a valuable painting.
Yeah, or for a profit, right?
Of course, there's a lot of money in art.
So we've got forgeries, misattribution, stolen art.
Yep.
What else do these art criminals do?
Well, there's art investment fraud.
Art investment fraud.
Yeah, they target people who want to get rich off the art market.
How so?
Imagine companies selling shares of a painting that doesn't even exist,
Marley.
promising huge profits, but then it all disappears.
Wow, that's scary.
It is, because it makes you think that even appreciating art can be risky.
Yeah, like we're vulnerable to these schemes.
We are, and it's not just about money.
It's about trust.
Exactly. People invest in art with their hearts,
They do.
And when that trust is broken, it hurts.
Okay, so we've talked about how these schemes work.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to know how we catch these art criminals.
That's the next step.
They can't fool the experts forever. Right?
You'd be surprised how long they can actually get away with it.
Really?
But luckily, there are ways to fight back.
Good.
Detecting art fraud, it's like being a detective.
I love it.
We have all sorts of tools to uncover the truth.
Like what? Give me the inside scoop.
Well, first we have science.
Science.
Yeah, things like carbon dating, pigment analysis, X-rays, infrared imaging.
Wow, high tech.
All of that helps us see what's hidden beneath the surface.
That's amazing.
We can figure out the age of the materials, see if anything's been changed, even spot things hidden under layers of paint.
So science plays a big role in this.
A huge role. It's becoming more and more important.
Are there any limits to what science can do?
There are. It's not perfect,
Right.
Sometimes you still need a trained eye to spot those tiny little inconsistencies.
So we still need the human element, those who really know art history.
Absolutely. There are art experts, historians, curators.
The art world's Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly. They can look at a brushstroke and tell you so much.
Fascinating.
And now we also have software that can analyze those brushstrokes.
Wow, technology really is changing everything.
It is. It's like a digital fingerprint for an artist's style.
But what about the galleries and auction houses?
Oh.
They're supposed to prevent this, right?
They do their best. Reputable places take this very seriously.
They do.
Oh, yeah. They have their own experts, strict rules, and they really invest in authentication.
To protect themselves.
Themselves and their clients.
Makes sense.
But even the best experts can be tricked sometimes.
Like with John Myatt, the forger we talked about.
Exactly. His paintings were sold as originals for years.
He was like a master of deception.
He was incredibly talented. He could copy anyone.
So how did he get caught?
Well, his accomplice, John Drew, was a master manipulator, too.
A real partner in crime.
They faked documents, infiltrated the art world, the whole thing.
And Myatt, what about him?
He eventually confessed to the police. That's how it all came crashing down.
Wow, what a story.
It is a fascinating one.
So what happens when these art frauds are exposed?
Well, that's when a legal system gets involved.
What are the consequences?
They can be serious. Art fraud is not a joke.
I bet.
Heavy fines, even prison sentences.
Really?
It's not just about the money, you know.
What else is it about?
It's about deceiving people, damaging the whole art market. It even affects our cultural heritage.
It's like stealing a piece of history.
Exactly. And a real artwork could be lost forever because of these scams.
So what about the victims? Can they do anything?
Oh, yeah. They can sue for damages.
Really?
Absolutely. They can try to get their money back from anyone involved.
That's good.
It can be complicated, but it's important to hold those fraudsters accountable.
So there's some legal protection,
There is.
but it's still a risky business.
Very risky.
It makes you wonder, with all this technology for creating and detecting forgeries, what does it mean for the future of art?
That's a big question.
Will it be even harder to tell real from fake?
It's a concern for sure. Technology is a double-edged sword, you know?
How so?
On the one hand, it gives forgers better tools like 3D printing, digital imaging, AI,
Oh, wow. That's advanced.
but it also gives authenticators new weapons.
Interesting.
DNA analysis, special imaging techniques, even blockchain for secure records.
So it's a constant battle.
It is like a game of chess, always trying to stay ahead.
Do you think we'll reach a point where we can't tell the difference anymore?
It's possible, but here's the thing.
What's that?
Even with all this tech, I believe human expertise will always be essential.
You do?
There are things machines just can't understand yet.
Like what?
The nuances of a brushstroke, how an artist's style evolves, the historical context.
I get it. The human touch.
Exactly, that gut feeling, years of experience, understanding the artist's spirit.
It's like the difference between a computer playing music and a human pouring their heart into it.
Precisely. Technology can help, but the human eye and intuition are still our best weapons.
You know, with all this talk of deception and forgery, it's easy to forget why we love art in the first place.
It is.
How can we appreciate art without worrying about all this?
That's a great question. Art is meant to be enjoyed, to make us feel something.
To connect with something bigger.
Exactly. And while we should be aware of fraud,
We should.
it shouldn't stop us from enjoying art.
It's like going to a concert and just analyzing the music instead of letting it move you.
That's a great analogy.
Sometimes you just have to feel it.
I agree.
The same with art.
Exactly. It's about that feeling you get when you look at a painting.
Whether it's in a museum or on your fridge.
It doesn't matter. Art transcends those boundaries.
Yeah. Speaking of boundaries, this deep dive has got me thinking.
Oh.
If technology can create and detect forgeries so well, what does that mean for the future of art itself?
Interesting question.
Will the lines between original and copy become even more blurred?
That's a question everyone's asking these days in studios, galleries, auction houses,
Fair one.
with digital art, virtual reality, AI-generated art.
So many new things.
The idea of originality is being challenged.
Is it?
Yeah, what makes something original when a computer can create it?
That's deep.
It is. It's a fundamental question.
It's like asking if a computer composed a symphony. Would it be as good as a human composer's work?
That's the debate, isn't it?
Does it even matter anymore?
It's both a philosophical and a technical question.
I see.
Some people believe it's all about the artist's intention, their skill, their vision.
Regardless of the tools.
Exactly, while others say the physical object is what matters.
That digital art lacks something.
That's the argument.
It's like the debate between vinyl and streaming.
I see the connection.
Some people love the original recording, others want convenience.
It's about how we define value in art.
And how that's changing.
We're in the middle of a huge shift.
We are.
These debates are only going to get more complex.
So it's a really exciting time.
It is. It makes us rethink everything we thought we knew about art.
About creativity itself.
and the role of technology in shaping our culture.
So while we've uncovered the dark side of art,
We have.
it seems like there's this exciting evolution happening too.
Absolutely. Art is always evolving.
What are the key takeaways for our listener?
I'd say awareness is key. Art fraud is real. It's everywhere. Never assume something is authentic just because it's in a fancy gallery.
Good advice?
Do your research, ask questions, get expert advice.
Trust, but verify.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to dig deeper. Ask for proof.
And if it sounds too good to be true,
It probably is.
probably is.
Don't let excitement cloud your judgment.
So important.
And most importantly, don't let fear of fraud ruin art for you.
Don't let it.
Go to museums, explore galleries, support artists.
Enjoy art.
Enjoy art. Let it move you,
Art is meant to be experienced and shared.
not hidden away.
It's a reminder that even with all the deception, art's power to inspire is still there.
It is.
This has been an amazing deep dive into art fraud.
It has.
We've gone through forgeries, heists, and even the future of art itself.
And we're not done yet.
But as we wrap up this part,
Hmm.
I have one final question for you.
Okay.
If technology can create and detect forgeries so perfectly,
Yeah.
what does that mean for the future of art?
That's a question that keeps a lot of people up at night.
I bet it does.
Artists, collectors, everyone.
What are your thoughts?
Well, it's sparking debates all over the world.
It is.
As technology keeps getting better, we're seeing all these new forms of art.
Like what?
Digital art, virtual reality experiences, even art made by AI.
Wow, that's mind-blowing.
It is, and it's making us question what we think we know about art.
Like what makes an original?
Exactly. Does it even matter if a computer can create something just as good as a human?
That's a tough one.
It is. It's both philosophical and technical. Some people believe it's all about the artist's intention, their unique vision.
Right.
It doesn't matter what tools they use.
I see.
But others argue that the physical object, the real thing, is what's important.
The tangible thing.
Yeah, that digital or AI-generated art just doesn't have that same essence.
That's an interesting debate.
It is, and it reminds me of the debate over vinyl records versus streaming music.
Oh, I see the connection.
Some people love the original, the authentic sound of vinyl.
They do.
Others prefer the convenience of streaming.
I get it.
It all comes down to how we define value in art.
And how that definition is changing.
We're in the middle of a massive shift, and these debates are only going to get more complex.
It's an exciting time to be involved in the art world.
It really is. It's challenging everything we thought we knew.
It's forcing us to rethink our assumptions about art and creativity.
And the impact of technology on our culture.
So while we've explored the dark side of art,
Forgeries, scams.
it seems like there's this positive evolution happening too.
Absolutely. Art is constantly pushing boundaries, challenging us to think differently.
That's what makes it so fascinating.
Exactly.
So for our listener, what are the key takeaways from this deep dive so far?
I'd say the most important thing is awareness.
Awareness.
Art fraud is real, it's out there, and it affects everyone.
It does.
Don't ever assume that just because a piece is being sold by a famous gallery,
Or a big auction house.
that it's automatically authentic.
Good point.
Do your homework, ask questions if you're not sure, get expert advice.
Trust but verify.
Exactly. Never be afraid to dig deeper, ask for documentation, to get a second opinion.
And remember, if a deal seems too good to be true,
It probably is.
it probably is.
Don't let your excitement cloud your judgment.
So important.
And finally, the most important thing of all,
What's that?
don't let the fear of fraud ruin art for you.
Don't let it.
Go to museums, explore galleries, support local artists, and most importantly,
Yes.
let yourself be moved by the beauty and power of art.
Let yourself feel it.
Art is meant to be experienced, to be shared, not to be locked away or viewed with suspicion.
It's a powerful reminder that even in a world where deception exists, art still has this amazing ability to inspire and connect us.
It does.
This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive into the world of art fraud.
It really has.
We've journeyed through the shadowy world of forgeries,
The high-stakes world of art heists.
and even peered into the future where technology is reshaping the very definition of art itself.
It's been quite a journey.
But as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm left with one final thought-provoking question for you.
It's okay. I'm ready.
If technology can be used to both create and detect forgeries so convincingly,
Right?
what does that mean for the future of art itself?
That's a
Will we reach a point where the concept of originality becomes completely blurred?
That's a question that's being debated in art studios, galleries, and auction houses all over the world.
If I can imagine.
As technology keeps advancing at this incredible pace, we're seeing the emergence of all these new forms of art.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, we have digital art, which is becoming more and more popular.
Right?
Then there are these immersive virtual reality experiences where you can literally step inside a work of art.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
It is. And then there's AI-generated art, where algorithms are creating pieces that are almost indistinguishable from human-made art.
That's really blowing, really.
It is. It's making us rethink everything we thought we knew about art and creativity.
Like what makes something an original piece of art?
Exactly. Does it even matter anymore if a computer can create something just as beautiful or moving as a human artist?
That's a tough question to answer.
It is. It's both a philosophical question and a technical one.
I can see that.
Some people believe that the essence of art lies in the artist's intention, their skill, their unique vision.
Regardless of the tools they use.
Exactly. But others argue that the physical object itself, the tangible work of art, holds a special kind of value.
Something that digital or AI-generated art can't replicate.
That's the argument.
It's a fascinating debate.
It is, and it actually reminds me of the debate over vinyl records versus streaming music.
Oh, I see the connection.
Some audiophiles swear by the warm, authentic sound of vinyl records.
They love that analog experience.
Exactly, while others embrace the convenience and accessibility of streaming services.
All about personal preference, isn't it?
It is, and it ultimately comes down to how we define value in the art world.
And how those definitions are changing as technology continues to evolve.
We're living in a time of unprecedented change and innovation.
It's an exciting time to be an art enthusiast.
It is, and these debates about originality, authenticity, and the role of technology in art.
They're only going to get more complex and interesting.
Absolutely.
So, for our listener, what are the key takeaways from this deep dive into the world of art fraud?
The first and most important takeaway is awareness.
Awareness of what?
Awareness of the fact that art fraud is real. It's happening all around us.
It's not just a Hollywood plot.
Exactly. It affects all levels of the art market, from small galleries to major auction houses.
So what can our listener do to protect themselves?
Never assume that just because a piece of art is being sold by a reputable gallery or dealer,
Or because it has a high price tag?
that it's automatically authentic.
Good point.
Always do your research, ask questions, and don't be afraid to seek expert advice if you're unsure about something.
Trust, but verify.
Exactly. If a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is.
That's a good rule of thumb for life in general.
Absolutely. And remember, don't let the fear of art fraud prevent you from enjoying and appreciating art.
Don't let it ruin the experience for you.
Go to museums, explore galleries, support local artists, and most importantly, allow yourself to be moved by the beauty and power of art.
Art has this incredible ability to inspire and connect us, even in a world where deception exists.
It does.
This has been such an enlightening and engaging deep dive into the world of art fraud.
I've enjoyed it.
We've journeyed through the shadowy world of forgeries
The high-stakes world of art heists.
and even peered into the future, where technology is reshaping our very understanding of art.
It's been quite a ride.
But as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
I'm left with one final thought-provoking question for you and for our listeners to ponder.
I'm listening.
If technology can be used to create and detect forgeries so convincingly,
Right.
what does that ultimately mean for the future of art itself?
That's a question that's sparking intense debate and discussion all over the world.
I can believe it.
As technology keeps advancing at this incredible pace, we're witnessing the emergence of all these new and exciting forms of art.
Like what? What are some examples?
Well, we have digital art, which is becoming more and more popular and sophisticated.
Right.
And then there are these immersive virtual reality experiences where you can literally step inside a work of art and interact with it in ways that were never possible before.
That sounds amazing.
It is. And then there's AI-generated art where algorithms are creating pieces that are almost indistinguishable from human-made art.
It's mind-blowing to think about.
It is, and it's making us question everything we thought we knew about art and creativity.
Like what makes something an original piece of art?
Exactly. Does it even matter anymore if a computer can create something just as beautiful, just as moving, just as thought-provoking as a human artist?
That's a tough question to answer.
It is. It's a question that's both philosophical and technical.
I can see that.
Some people believe that the essence of art lies in the artist's intention, their unique skill, their creative vision.
Regardless of the tools they use.
Exactly. But others argue that the physical object itself, the tangible work of art, holds a special kind of value.
Something that digital or AI-generated art can't quite replicate.
That's the argument.
It's fascinating and important debate.
It really is, and it reminds me of the debate over vinyl records versus streaming music.
Oh, I see the connection.
Some audiophiles, they swear by the warm, authentic sound of vinyl records.
They love that analog experience.
They do, while others prefer the convenience and accessibility of streaming services.
It's all about personal preference.
Exactly, and ultimately it comes down to how we define value in the art world.
And how those definitions are changing as technology continues to evolve.
We're living in a time of rapid change and innovation in the art world.
It's an exciting time to be an art enthusiast.
It really is, and these debates about originality, authenticity, and the role of technology in art are only going to get more complex and more interesting.
So, for our listener, what are some key takeaways from this deep dive into the world of art fraud?
I think the most important thing is awareness. Awareness that art fraud is real and that it's happening all around us.
It's not just a problem for the super rich or for museums.
Exactly. It affects all levels of the art market, from small galleries to major auction houses.
So what can our listener do to protect themselves?
Never assume that just because a piece of art is being sold by a well-known gallery or dealer, or because it has a high price tag, that it's automatically authentic.
That's good advice.
Do your research, ask questions, and don't hesitate to seek expert advice if you have any doubts.
Trust but verify.
Exactly. And if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is.
That's a good rule of thumb for life in general.
Absolutely. And finally, I think it's important to remember that the fear of art fraud shouldn't prevent you from enjoying and appreciating art.
Don't let it ruin the experience for you.
Exact. Go to museums, visit galleries, support local artists, and most importantly, allow yourself to be moved and inspired by the beauty and power of art.
Art has this amazing ability to connect us, even in a world where deception exists. This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive into the world of art fraud.
It really has.
We've journeyed through the shadowy world of forgeries, the high-stakes world of art heists, and even peered into the future, where technology is changing our very understanding of what art is and can be.
It's been quite a journey.
And as we wrap up this first part of our deep dive, I'm left with this one final thought-provoking question for you and for our listener.
Okay, I'm ready.
If technology can be used to both create and detect forgeries so convincingly, what does that mean for the future of art itself?
That's a question that's generating a lot of discussion and debate in the art world.
I bet it is.
As technology keeps advancing at this incredible pace, we're seeing the emergence of all these new and innovative forms of artistic expression.
Like what? Can you give us some examples?
Well, there's digital art, which is becoming more and more sophisticated. Then there are these incredible immersive virtual reality experiences where you can literally step inside a work of art and interact with it in completely new ways.
That sounds amazing.
As it is. And then there's AI-generated art where algorithms are creating pieces that are practically indistinguishable from human-made art.
It's mind-blowing to think about.
It really is, and it's forcing us to rethink everything we thought we knew about art and creativity.
Like what makes something an original work of art?
Exactly. Does it even matter anymore if a computer can create something just as beautiful, just as moving, just as thought-provoking as a human artist?
That's a question that doesn't have an easy answer.
It doesn't. It's a question that's both philosophical and technical.
I can see that.
Some people argue that the essence of art lies in the artist's intention, in their skill, in their unique creative vision.
Regardless of what tools they use to express that vision.
Exactly. But then there are those who believe that the physical object itself, the tangible work of art, holds a special kind of value.
Something that digital or AI-generated art can't quite replicate.
That's the argument.
It's a really interesting debate.
It is, and it reminds me of the debate over vinyl records versus streaming music.
Oh, I see the connection.
Some audiophiles, they absolutely swear by the warmth, the richness, the authenticity of the sound that you get from a vinyl record.
They love that analog experience.
They do, while others prefer the convenience and accessibility of streaming services.
I can understand both sides.
And ultimately, it comes down to personal preference, doesn't it?
It does.
It's all about how we define value in the art world.
And how those definitions are changing as technology continues to evolve and reshape our world.
We're living in a time of extraordinary change and innovation, especially when it comes to art.
It's an exciting time to be an art enthusiast.
It really is. And these debates about originality, authenticity, and the role of technology in art are only going to get more complex and more fascinating as time goes on.
So for our listener, what are some of the key takeaways from this deep dive into the world of art fraud?
Well, I think the most important thing is awareness. Awareness that art fraud is a real problem and that it's happening all around us all the time.
It's not just something that happens in movies.
Exactly. It affects all levels of the art market, from small independent galleries to the most prestigious auction houses in the world.
So what can our listener do to protect themselves?
Never assume that just because a piece of art is being sold by a reputable gallery or dealer, or just because it has a high price tag, that it's automatically authentic.
That's good advice.
Do your research, ask questions, and don't hesitate to seek expert advice if you have any doubts or concerns about a particular piece of art.
Trust, but verify.
Exactly. And remember, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is.
That's a good rule of thumb for life in general.
It is. And finally, I think it's really important to remember that the fear of encountering art fraud shouldn't prevent you from enjoying and appreciating the beauty and power of art.
Don't let it ruin the experience for you.
Go to museums, explore art galleries, support local artists, and most importantly, allow yourself to be moved and inspired by the art that you encounter.
Art has this amazing ability to connect us, even in a world where deception and fraud exist. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive into the world of art fraud.
It has been fascinating.
We've journeyed through the shadowy world of art forgeries, the high-stakes world of art heists, and we've even
Steered into the future where technology is changing our very understanding of what art is and can be.
That's a fascinating world to explore, that's for sure.
It really is.
So we were talking about how even the best experts can be fooled by these art forgers and scammers.
Yeah, it happens more often than you think.
And it makes you wonder, what happens when these art frauds are exposed? What are the legal consequences?
Well, art fraud is a serious crime.
It is.
Oh, yeah, you're not just talking about a slap on the wrist here.
So what kind of penalties are we talking about?
We're talking heavy fines, even prison sentences.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that serious.
It is. Remember, we're not just talking about money here.
Right. You said it also damages the art market.
It does. It undermines trust, it deceives collectors, and it can even impact our cultural heritage.
Yeah, it's like stealing a piece of history.
Exactly. And a genuine artwork could be lost forever because of these deceptive practices.
So what about the victims of art fraud? Do they have any legal recourse?
Absolutely. They can file civil lawsuits for damages.
So they can try to recover their losses?
Exactly. They can try to hold those responsible accountable, whether it's the forger, the seller, or anyone involved in the deception.
That's good to know.
These cases can be complicated, of course,
I imagine they would be.
but they're an essential part of fighting back against art fraud.
Right. It sends a message that this kind of behavior won't be tolerated.
Exactly. It helps protect the integrity of the art market.
You know, it's amazing to think about all these advanced techniques for creating and detecting forgeries.
It really is.
It makes you wonder, where does this leave us in terms of the future of authenticity in the art world?
It's a question that's on a lot of people's minds these days.
I bet it is, with technology evolving so rapidly.
Technology is a double-edged sword when it comes to art. On one hand, it gives forgers even more sophisticated tools to create convincing fakes.
Like what kind of tools?
Oh, things like 3D printing, digital imaging software, even artificial intelligence.
Wow, that's pretty high tech.
It is. But on the other hand, technology is also giving those who authenticate art new ways to fight back.
So it's a constant arms race.
You could say that, yeah.
What kind of tools are being used to authenticate art these days?
Well, there's DNA analysis of materials, which can be very precise.
Interesting.
And there are advanced imaging techniques like multispectral imaging that can reveal hidden details and alterations.
Wow, it's like CSI for the art world.
And then there's blockchain technology, which is being used to create tamper-proof records of an artwork's history and ownership.
So it's like a digital fingerprint for a piece of art.
Exactly. It makes it much harder to forge provenance documents or create fake ownership histories.
That's really impressive.
Technology is definitely changing the game when it comes to art authentication.
But do you think there will ever come a point where technology makes it virtually impossible to distinguish a real artwork from a fake?
It's a possibility, but I believe human expertise will always play a crucial role.
You do? Why is that?
There are nuances, subtleties that machines just can't grasp yet.
I see. So it's not just about the data, it's about intuition and experience.
Exactly. It's about understanding the artist's style, their technique, their creative process, their evolution over time.
It's about seeing the art through a human lens.
And that's something that technology, at least for now, can't fully replicate.
So even with all these advancements in technology, the human eye, the human mind, the human understanding of art,
That will always be essential.
it's reassuring to know that even in this age of high-tech forgeries, there's still a place for human expertise and intuition.
I agree. It's what makes the art world so fascinating.
It's a blend of science, history, and human perception.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that art is more than just a commodity. It's a reflection of our humanity, our creativity, our ability to see the world in new and different ways.
You know, talking about all this deception and forgery, it's easy to lose sight of why we love art in the first place.
It's true. It can make you jaded.
How can we, as art enthusiasts, appreciate art without getting bogged down by worries about authenticity and value and all that?
It's a good question, and I think it's important to remember that art is meant to be enjoyed.
It's about the experience, the connection.
Exactly. It's about evoking emotions, sparking conversations, making us think, making us feel.
And that shouldn't get lost in all the talk of money and forgery.
While it's important to be aware of art fraud and to take steps to protect ourselves,
We should.
we shouldn't let it overshadow the joy of experiencing art.
It's like going to a concert and spending the entire time analyzing the technical aspects of the music instead of just letting yourself be moved by it.
That's a great analogy. You have to let the music wash over you.
And the same goes for art. Sometimes you just have to let go and feel it.
Don't overthink it, just experience it.
Whether it's a masterpiece hanging in a museum or a child's drawing on your refrigerator,
It doesn't matter. Art transcends those boundaries.
this deep dive has got me thinking about another question.
No.
If technology can be used to create and detect forgeries so convincingly, what does that mean for the future of art itself? Will the lines between original and copy become even more blurred?
It's a fascinating question, and it's one that's causing a lot of debate in the art world right now.
I can imagine.
With the rise of digital art, virtual reality, and AI-generated art.
It's like we're entering a whole new era of artistic expression.
We are, and the concept of originality is being challenged in ways we've never seen before.
What defines an original when a computer program can create something that's virtually indistinguishable from a human-made piece?
It's a tough question to answer, and it's one that's going to become even more important as technology continues to advance.
It's almost like we're redefining what it means to create and to appreciate art.
I think we are.
So what are your thoughts on this? How do you see this all playing out?
Well, I think it's going to be a fascinating journey.
I agree.
There are going to be challenges, and there are going to be amazing new possibilities.
No doubt about that.
The art world is constantly evolving, and technology is going to be a major driving force behind that evolution.
So what advice would you give to our listener as they navigate this increasingly complex world of art?
First and foremost, I would say be aware, be informed.
Don't be naive.
Art fraud is real, it's out there, and it affects all levels of the market.
It does.
Never assume that just because a piece is being sold by a well-known gallery or a reputable dealer that it's automatically authentic.
Always do your due diligence.
Exactly. Ask questions, do your research, and if you have any doubts, seek expert advice.
It's always better to be safe than sorry.
And remember, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is.
That's a good rule of thumb for life in general.
It is, and most importantly, don't let the fear of art fraud prevent you from enjoying and appreciating art.
Don't let it ruin the experience for you.
Go to museums, explore art galleries, support local artists, and let yourself be moved by the beauty and power of art.
It's a reminder that even in a world where deception exists, art still has this amazing ability to inspire us, to challenge us, to connect us.
It does, and that's something worth celebrating.
So we've been talking about how technology is blurring the lines between real and fake in the art world.
Just really changing everything.
And it makes you wonder, what does this mean for the future of art itself?
It's the big question, isn't it?
Will we even be able to tell what's original anymore?
Well, that's what everyone's trying to figure out.
I bet there's some heated debates going on.
Oh, absolutely. In studios, galleries, auction houses, everywhere.
What are people saying?
With all this new technology like digital art, virtual reality, AI.
It's like a whole new world of art is opening up.
It is, and it's making us question what originality even means anymore.
I can imagine.
Like, if a computer can create a painting that looks exactly like a Van Gogh,
Whoa.
is it still art? Is it valuable?
That's a tough one.
It really is, and there's no easy answer.
So what are the different viewpoints on this?
Some people say that the artist's intention is what matters most.
Like their creativity, their vision.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what tools they use.
I see.
But others argue that the physical object itself, the actual painting,
The tangible thing.
yeah, that's what holds the real value.
They believe digital art just doesn't have that same essence.
That's the argument.
It's a fascinating debate for sure.
It is, and it reminds me of the debate over vinyl records versus streaming music.
Oh, yeah. I see the connection.
Some people love that warm, authentic sound of vinyl,
They do. It's a whole experience.
while others just want the convenience of digital.
I get it. It's all about personal preference.
And how we define value in art,
And those definitions are constantly changing.
especially now, with technology evolving so quickly.
It's an exciting time to be following the art world.
It really is. It's like we're on the cusp of a whole new era.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into art fraud, what are the key takeaways for our listener
Well, I'd say the most important thing is to be aware, be informed
about the risks?
about the different types of art fraud, the techniques being used, the challenges we're facing.
It's like anything else. Knowledge is power.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Do your research. Get expert advice when you need it.
Trust but verify, right?
Absolutely. And if something seems too good to be true, well, it probably is.
Good advice.
And finally, I'd say don't let all this talk of fraud and deception take away from your enjoyment of art.
Don't let it ruin the experience for you.
Art has this incredible power to move us, to inspire us, to connect us.
It's something to be cherished, not feared.
So keep exploring, keep learning, keep appreciating the beauty and wonder of art in all its forms.
Well said. I think that's the perfect note to end on.
It's been a great conversation.
To our listener, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of art fraud.
We've covered a lot of ground.
From the techniques used to create forgeries.
To the high-stakes world of art heists.
And we've even touched on the philosophical questions surrounding the future of art in a world increasingly shaped by technology.
It's been a fascinating journey.
And we hope it's left you with a deeper appreciation for the complexities and wonders of the art world.
And a healthy dose of skepticism, too.
Always a good thing.
So until next time, happy art appreciating, everyone.
And happy deep diving.